Today's episode of the Nick Taylor Horror Show is brought to you by Diabolic DVD. For almost 20 years, Diabolic DVD has been the source for horror, cult, and weird cinema to customers around the world. Diabolic offers a one-stop shopping experience for all of your favorite labels, including Arrow, Synapse, Vinegar Syndrome, Severin, Mondo Macabro, Blue Underground, 88, and many more from all corners of the globe. So whether you're looking for the definitive version of Suspiria or trying to upgrade your crusty old DVD of Cannibal Holocaust, Diabolic is the owner-operated small business choice you've been craving. Shop online at diabolicdvd.com. That's DIABOLIK DVD.com. We're also brought to you by Deadly Grounds Coffee. It's the #1 choice of horror fans worldwide. Nothing starts your day or night better than a delicious cup of Deadly Grounds. Whether you're hunting ghosts or fighting the next zombie apocalypse, any one of Deadly's 30-plus roasts will bring you to caffeine nirvana with the richest flavor you've ever had. Whether you're craving their Hellhound Roast, Witch's Brew, Devil's Night Roast, or Sinful Delight, order online at getdeadly.com for easy and safe shipping right to your door. We know that once you go deadly, you won't go back. Join the deadly revolution today. Be bold, be different, be deadly. Deadly Grounds Coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. Get some at getdeadly.com. Welcome back to the Nick Taylor Horror Show. Kevin Lewis is an American director of multiple features, including The Method, Downward Angel, The Drop, and The Third Nail. Most recently, Kevin has wowed the horror crowd with Willy's Wonderland, a wonderfully bonkers survive-the-night horror thriller that pits a group of demonic animatronic animals against an understatedly badass Nicolas Cage. The movie was one of the most culty returns to the midnight movie tradition I have seen this year, and a whole lot of fun. It delivered the laughs, it delivered the blood, and it delivered the cage. I really enjoyed speaking to Kevin about his career history, the long road of getting Willy's Wonderland off of the ground, and stories about working with Nicolas Cage. Without further ado, here is Kevin Lewis. Kevin Lewis, great to see you, sir.
Great to see you, Nick.
How is everything going?
It's going great. You know, I went and saw Willy's yesterday at the drive-in.
Oh, wow. What a perfect place to see it.
Oh, it was awesome. So I packed up the fam and we got in the minivan and went to the drive-in. It's in Orange County. It was at the Flight, and they had a drive-in on the top of the parking garage. And then on the side, there's a building. They have all kinds of cool food and stuff. And it was the double bill with Psycho Gorman.
Oh my God!
I'm dying to see Psycho Gorman. I begged my wife, but she's a nurse, and she's like, "No, you're lucky to be here on this one." So, but it was great. I saw Gio, the writer, and that was fantastic. And Dave Newbert, my DP, came and to see him and to hang out and to watch the movie and go, "Dude, we made it, man!" Like, and we were just talking about like the history behind the shots and everything, and to see everybody honking their horns and turning the lights on when Nick would take out one of the animatronics or the pinball scene.
Oh my God.
Or, you know, it was just cool, man.
That's blissful.
I loved it. And it's such a drive-in movie, right?
Totally.
You know? And it was great because I've been wanting to see this with an audience. You know, we made this movie, a midnight movie. I pictured like a Toronto Midnight Madness. Oh, yeah. You know, I was picturing cons, you know, high-fiving the fans. So, you know, high-fiving right now, you know. Now it's like...
Yeah, high shoulder.
Yeah, with 6
elbow.
feet away, by the way. Yeah, six feet away. And Nick and I were going to go do some press, you know, and at the cons. And I had this really cool thing, and then it just all went, you know. But, hey, man, with what's going on in the world, people losing their lives and stuff, that's small potatoes.
Yeah. So, I mean, what a blessing though. I mean, I feel like this movie is so perfect for a drive-in, and I've talked to a lot of directors who put out recent movies, and I mean, horror is so good as a shared experience, and so many new horror filmmakers are cheated out of theatrical releases. They're cheated out of watching the movies with an audience, But I feel
Yeah.
like the sort of benefit is when you see your movie in a drive-in, that's even stronger of an audience experience. You know, you had horns
Oh,
honking and lights flashing, and those who've
it
never been
was
to
so cool.
drive-ins, that's what you do when
Yeah.
you're enjoying the movie. The
Yeah.
viewers used to do that. So that
Yeah.
must have been incredible.
And then so I got 4 kids. I got 2 teenagers and 2 little boys who are 5 and 7. And so
Okay.
we just put them all in. And of course, I don't want, parental, guidance, control coming over to my house, child services here. So we'd shield them, of course, from the stuff. But
Right.
they've been drawing creatures for me. They love the creatures, and every day they'll give me a card or something, with Willie and the gang. And
Yeah.
and but seeing my 5-year-old say, "What's Batman bullshit?" And my wife looking at me yesterday and going, "I see what are we doing here?" I'm like, "It's all good. Don't worry about it. Batman, and that's not a nice word." But
Yeah.
anyways, but it was great. It was great.
What a
It was
blast.
fun seeing this movie with everybody, and I think it was kind of cool. Geo came and spoke at the beginning, and then people would come and talk, and so I went and say hi to Geo. I haven't seen him for a while, and that was really cool. And then people were asking us questions, and the love of the movie, from the audience reviews.
Hmm.
I guess we're like 4.5 on Amazon, and man, I of course grew up in the '80s, and I'm just like Siskel and Ebert. I love those guys,
Yeah.
even though they were wrong on Blade Runner. Okay, they were wrong on a lot of stuff, but I love watching like the old school Siskel and Ebert and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
And I even like Ebert and Roper. People are like, "Are you crazy?" But anyways, so I'm like old school on that stuff. So like, it's amazing, with the critics, because it's like power to the people. Now the audience really gets to speak.
Yeah.
Before it was like, when I interned for John McTiernan and Rennie Harlan, and I remember, the reviews would come in, and it's like, L.A. Times, New York Times, Variety, Hollywood Reporter, and you're just waiting on pins and needles,
Right.
And it's like, man, you get a bad review, it's like someone died in the office,
Right.
And it's just so cool. You got this podcast, and everybody's just free and talking about the love of cinema,
Hmm.
and there's people just going to express themselves, and the audience, and it's just so cool to see that with this movie,
Yeah.
and to see like a mother watched it with her son twice. It was a great bonding experience. Or somebody had a bad day, and they just came home and put a smile on their face. And I talked to a journalist the other day, and she was like, if I die from COVID, or if a meteor is going to come strike me down like Greenland, I want to be watching Willie's. Isn't that cool?
So
Right?
cool. So cool. I mean, you
That's why
really,
we make
really brought
movies.
back the midnight movie feel. This is such a
Yeah.
drive-in movie. I feel like
I
it
know.
eventually belongs on Shudder with Joe Bob hosting it.
Yeah.
I hope to see that happen at some point.
That'd be
But
cool. That'd be cool.
but you created something so cult-like. Was that the intention from the beginning?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When I read that script, Geo script, great script, and Jeremy Davis brought it to me, the producer, and it was really cool. I saw that script, and I was like, I love Sam Raimi.
Mhm.
I've been saying it all along, but I don't care. I love Sam Raimi, and he inspires me. I met him. I'm not big on autographs. My grandfather Tom Tully was an actor, supporting actor in King Mutiny. He was up for Academy Award.
wow.
He was the captain that Humphrey Bogart takes over, and so my mom had this book of autographs, Charlton Heston, and all these amazing
Whoa.
people. And so growing up, looking at these black and white books with like her on the lap, and actually it's kind of interesting. When I got out to L.A., when I was working on my first movie, The Method, I wrote to Charlton Heston, and he wrote me back.
Whoa.
And yeah, he was busy at the time, but it was a beautiful letter. And so, anyways, because I was trying to get him maybe to be a part of my movie, just hey man, you got to reach for the stars,
Oh yeah.
But so when I got to LA, they would have shrine shows, and actually I met one of my best friend Kenny Yackel there. He would be there, and it was just cool. We'd all go to the shrine shows and stuff. And Sam was there for Army of Darkness,
Oh wow.
and so I got this poster. It's on the cover of a Dark Horse comic. It's a beautiful. I forgot the artist. I'm sorry. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing with Army of Darkness. And so I met Sam, and so basically I had him sign my poster, and it was just so amazing.
So cool.
And he signed it, Kevin, looking for your name on the big screen. Keep them rolling, Sam Raimi.
Whoa.
And it was just awesome. And then I was like, I said, then, I met Bruce. And then Bruce wrote it, Kevin, ignore what this guy says below this, And I cherish that poster. I have it framed. And I just love Sam Raimi. Evil Dead was a movie that inspired me. Evil Dead 2 was just incredible.
Perfection.
Return of, so Return of the Living Dead, all those cool 80 movies, man. And I just loved it, And so when I read Willy's, that all came.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, and I'm a big collector of pop culture. I'm a pop culture nerd geek. I don't care. I wear it with pride. I've got
you and me both.
Hey, baby, it's awesome. I got my Kenner figs. My sisters. It's funny. I got two sisters, Sean and Erin, and I beg Erin to take me to the comic book store. And she was a cool sister because as a kid, she'd take me to the comic book store, and Marvel and Spider-Man and just everything was just and you save your little money and you get your little comic and it just makes your day.
Yeah.
And I still have my comics when I was a kid. I sold a lot of them to go to film school. I went to USC to support my first movie.
Oh, nice.
A really cool story about that was I made my first movie and I was interning for John McTiernan and Donna Dubrow, his wife. And they messed it up with the lab. It was called Face the Music. It was shot on Super 16.
Oh, wow.
And I got, just like SC, you got to get your guys there and shoot your movie and everything. And we did it. And they messed it up with the lab. It was all black.
Oh.
And it was devastating to me. And I was like, I sold all my collectibles. I, begged, borrowed, and stole money just
to fund your first movie. Oh my God!
And it was called Face the Music. It was like a janitor, and he's mopping the floor, and all of a sudden the mop. He remembers him. It's like a New Year's Eve party. He remembers himself as a younger man, and so he turns to his younger self, and the mop is his girlfriend or whatever, and he's Face the Music and dance. It was to Fred Astaire.
Oh wow,
and
that's cool.
And Ginger Rogers. And then at the end, he sees himself as the young man. He sees who he is, and it was really, really cool. But anyways, they messed it up at the lab.
That must have broken your heart.
Broke my heart. And I'll tell you, Donna Dubrow, she gave me the money to go remake it.
Now, she was at McTiernan's office too, right?
Yeah. She was his wife. And what's amazing on that was, when someone gives you the money to remake it, it's like, oh my God, it's incredible. Mm-hmm. But then it's like, you got to go remake it.
Right.
And so I got the team back. We shot it. And it was cool. And it actually helped me get through some doors.
Was it better the second time? Was it a blessing in disguise in a weird way to have to do it twice?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was hard, man. It's like, I got to go back and do this. But when you love movies like we do and stuff, it's just a privilege,
Yeah.
So anyways, it was just cool. So that was kind of the beginnings, of knowing like how hard, making movies is going to be. You can sit in film class all you want. I took some amazing classes with amazing professors. This is a great story. I took a Hitchcock class. It's my favorite class, and we did a test on Psycho, and my professor would say, the light bulb at the end that swings after Norman, the reveal and all that, is the duality of man.
Ooh.
And so that was on the test. And so then we had the cinematographer come in and speak.
Hitchcock cinematographer? On Psycho? Holy shit. Yeah.
And he came in and spoke, and he said, so someone asked him, what about the duality of man? And he's like, oh, no. And we were losing time in the light and everything. And the studio was about to shut us down. I put up a ladder, put up a hi-hat, cranked the camera, shot the things we needed to insert, and we were done. And everybody looked at my professor, and he just puts his head down. He's like, everybody gets extra credit.
It was interpretation.
And I realized a lot at that, that you can read into so many things, and movie making. And that's a beautiful thing, because we're with a communal experience, but I also take what I want from it, and And so going back to like Sam Raimi, meeting him and whatever, and just inspiring me. And it's like, when you see a Sam Raimi movie, you know it's a Sam Raimi movie.
Oh yeah.
And it's its imprint. Even Simple Plan, and I love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything he's done, and of course, Spider-Man was my favorite superhero growing up. So when he got that, I was like over the moon.
Yeah.
An interesting story on that one too. I had Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst attached to a script I was going to direct, and Donna Dubrow was going to produce.
Oh wow!
Before Spider-Man,
huh?
Toby just did Woody's movie, Woody Allen's movie, and he did I think one other, maybe it was Ice Storm. I don't know, but Kirsten, she did Interview with a Vampire and stuff, and she did an ER episode. And I went out to lunch with her mom. Beautiful woman, she's just great. They're so nice. And anyways, it was cool. It was called Storming Heaven,
mm-hmm.
and it was a cool little script. And we had Toby, but it just like a lot of things. I've been on so many movies, buddy. It's just you think it's the brass ring, it's going to happen, and nope.
Yeah.
And so same thing with Willie's. We even with Nick, we had Nick, but it was a challenge to work and try to get people to buy into the vision, because it is an odd movie, right?
Yeah.
And Nick said something interesting when he got the script. He said, "Wow, we don't see," to his manager. He said, "Wow, we don't see these movies much anymore."
Well, can you tell us about that? I mean, it's a really interesting story about how the movie came together. From what I understand, Gio was struggling to get something off the ground for a while. Could you just tell us that story and how you and Gio joined forces and how Nick jumped on board?
It's actually a really cool story, and I'll take you back to the beginning.
Great.
So I made a movie called Malibu Spring Break, and it was I shot this movie I wrote it in 3 days. I shot it in 9, and it was a TNA movie with Crown Entertainment, who did the My Tutors back in the day and stuff. And there was an actor named Jeremy Daniel Davis that was in his first movie. And anyways, we were shooting it down. And I was a little over schedule. I'm sure the producers wanted more wet T-shirt contest footage, And so I'm trying to get that off. And it was so funny because I had all these elaborate shots, and I was like, the cup hits the tray. We're gonna follow the tray into the crowd and reveal the wet T-shirt. And I'll never forget when the producer was like, "Just shoot the wet T-shirts." I was like, "Okay, here we go. We're gonna put a long lens on, boom, wide. We're gonna do medium." I did total TV. I'm like, "We're done," and I wrapped early.
Wow.
And I was like a hero. I wrapped like at 11 in the morning, and they were just praising me. And it was hilarious because it's like, it was like, all right, that's fine. That's what you want. But I promised Jeremy a scene, an improv scene. And they were hustling me to get finished and just to close shop. And I said, no, I want to shoot this actor scene. I told him I was going to do it. And so I did. And anyways, Malibu comes out, and I'm, people want to run me over with a car, and in the reviews, and it's fine. But anyway, so flash forward later, and I'm working on a project with some producers, and Jeremy hooks up with one of the producers, and he's like, "Oh, Kevin Lewis or whatever." He's like, "Oh my God, Kevin Lewis!" And so he came in and met me, and we saw each other. We haven't seen each other for years, and it was just great. And he was trying to help me get this movie off the ground with some things. And he did a great job on what he could do on that one. And really helped out a lot. But again, forces that nothing to do with him or me.
Right.
Financing, right? Movie falls through. So then flash forward later, and I get a phone call, and he's optioned the script from Willie's. He thinks I really like it, and I'm the right director for it.
And who brought this to you again?
Jeremy Daniel Davis.
Jeremy, okay.
Let me tell you this. So what happened was his wife, who Jess Davis, who plays Siren Sarah, she was in an acting class with Gio.
Oh, acting classes, man. It's how Tarantino got his script to Harvey Keitel. Right?
Yeah. So she liked the script, took it to her husband. He loved it. He optioned it. He took it to me, and then we partnered up. Gio had a casting director named Venus Kanani, and so she made the offer to Nick. So we were all a team, And but Nick, isn't that interesting that Malibu Spring Break equals Willy's Wonderland?
Yeah, it's weird
You
how
know,
one thing leads to another, and it's just about
and I
taking any opportunity you can get, right?
and I had an agent back at that time, and they were like, I'll never forget. She was like, Kevin, you're going to have a career on making the movies that you pass on than the movies you do.
Hmm.
And I'm like, well, that doesn't really make sense when I'm not getting offers,
Right.
And so, and I had a family. I was having a little boy, my first son, Liam, and I needed, and I was like, every movie to me, that you get behind now with the technology, it's amazing what you can do. I mean, there's no more film labs to mess up your movie. You got your
Oh
shoot a
yeah.
movie on your iPhone, right? And so you could just learn. And I remember James Cameron came to SC to show the director's cut of The Abyss, and
Oh.
he was amazing. And he said that the technology should come to the filmmaker, and I'll never forget that.
Hmm.
You know, and because we're storytellers, so anyways, Malibu Spring Break, Crown Entertainment equals Willy's Wonderland. So Jeremy never forgot that, and he tells the story way better, but he never forgot that I gave him that I promised him
Yeah.
that improv, that scene, and and he really believed that I had the vision for Willie's, and he knew these other movies I was working on that didn't go,
Hmm.
so he brought me back in the game. I was working on other projects, and they, like I said, just something or other. I mean, right in the beginning, I had movie storyboarded, prepped. I mean, but it's not a finished product, man. It's a work in progress.
Right.
And so they collapsed, and it was hard. And so getting back to Willie's, reading that script from Geo and going, wow, this is just original and different and cool. And Nick was the only man. We were like, that's it.
It's got to be
Nick.
him.
Yep. So we got the script to him, and I'll tell you how loyal he is. We were almost a year out before we shot that movie. So Mike Nylon, his manager, was amazing.
Hmm.
He's a producer on the movie, and Nick was, of course, a producer on the movie. And they're fantastic people. And they saw the vision, and it was great. So,
Yeah. It sounds like and I read this in a previous interview, it sounds like Nick really championed this movie in a big way. When you were struggling to get the green light,
yeah,
he really
did.
pushed it, which is amazing.
He'd always ask about it. Always want to know what's going on. We never met face to face or anything. We heard through Mike because he was busy. He was doing other things, but it was incredible. Nick is a loyal man.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's three things about Nick Cage. We all know, amazing actor, world-class actor, fantastic partner to do a movie with, and just a downright decent human being. When you meet him, you could just see his soul.
Yeah.
He had this cool ring, and when the first day I met him, and it was like the skull kind of ring, and I was like, that's an awesome ring, Nick. And he's like, thanks. This was all his kids' wisdom teeth.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was awesome. And
what did he melt the teeth into a ring?
Yeah, it was just cool. It was Nick Cage, man.
Yeah.
He just its own style, and it was cool too. Like there was this leather jacket I liked that wound up in the movie for the beginning that he wears, and he put it on. I was like, Nick, I really was hoping he liked it because it was my favorite of all the jackets. And he's like, I like it. He goes, then he turned to the wardrobe. He goes, could you put 2 red stripes here? And she's like, yeah, we could do that. I was like, that's awesome. So those 2 red stripes, that was him.
Oh, that's cool.
He brought so much to this movie. We didn't have one creative disagreement.
Wow.
We saw eye to eye on everything.
That's amazing.
And like I said, I've said it before, man, I was working on second team, setting up the shots. I did a 70-page shot list for this movie, got everything prepared.
Yeah.
And I walked out, Nick, probably with 85 to 90% of it. That's what preparation does, man.
Right.
And I gave it to Nick. I gave it to Mike. I gave it to the cast and crew, man. I didn't care. It was an open book. And if anybody had an idea, I was, totally open to hear it, but when we shot the movie, we didn't have time for, hey, what about this? I knew we had 20 days. And so Nick would come when we were setting up a second team, and the stand-in was great, but Nick would come in and hold the punch pop. for the focal length of the lens to get it right, you know.
Wow, he was that
And
dedicated.
that dedicated, man, you know. And a great story too. We shot the first day all the driving stuff, and the first shot was him giving the punch pop to Liv in the car, and then he got out. You know, we're doing the wide of the car, the tree, and I was like, "That's beautiful," you know. And I went up to him. I was like, "This is, you know, it's fantastic." And he's like, "We're in it now." And I
So
was like,
cool.
"Boy, aren't we?" You know.
Yeah, I feel
So
like it's a magical experience, particularly on like lower budgeted movies, when you have an actor who's just like the kind of cheerleader slash, you know, keeps all of the momentum going on set. And it sounds like that was exactly Nick Cage.
he's amazing. I mean, he was in that his trailer hanging out, man. He
He was not in his trailer.
No, he was looking at the monitor, looking at the shots, looking at what was going next. You know,
Damn.
always prepared. Had a great communication with the DP, Dave Newberg, who did a fantastic job, because it was a very technical movie, precise film, what I was trying to do. And so we all had to be on sync, on the same page.
Yeah.
I never left camera. You know, some directors like to go to Video Village and things like that. I was always by the camera, always. And Nick was too, you know.
That's
and
great.
I think it shows in the movie, you know. I love everybody, man, that worked on Willy's, the camera department, and we, you know, JR and just everybody, Ezra and you know, Travis, the gaffer.
That's amazing. Yeah, I heard there's a real benefit to not being in Video Village. And for those listening, Video Village is where you're just looking at the monitors and you're not engaging with the actors on set. Tarantino never ever is in Video Village. He's always front and center as the actors are acting, and he says the reason being when they're looking at you while they're or when you're that close to them while they're acting, they're not acting for the camera, they're acting for you, and that's how that you get a much better performance. So the fact that you and Nick Cage were front and center, not behind monitors, but right next to the camera, that really must have amped all the actors up.
It was, and you know, man, I was like a kid in the candy store. You know, I got there early mornings. I got there sometimes before the crew would get there, and I was working on my prep, and I was just so happy, buddy, making this movie, smile on my face, and the crew had a smile on their face from beginning to end.
So
everybody loved it. Everybody got along. Yeah, you know, you have your occasional things here and there, but nothing. I mean, everybody. It was great.
Yeah.
Till the end, you know, and I made some really great friends. And I told everybody, it was kind of cool. They had a cast and crew screening in Georgia Sunday, and they Zoomed me. And I just told everybody, man, I'm working hard to get back there to make another one, you know?
Yeah.
It was just fantastic. And the thing about Nick, too, you know, the last day of shooting, he hung out for lunch and signed everybody's posters, DVDs, Blu-rays.
What a guy.
Anything, you name it. You know, and the cast and crew and the line was wrapped around the stage.
So cool. What a mensch of a guy. That's amazing. I'm not that surprised to hear that.
He spoiled me, man. Like, I'm worried, like the next actor.
You can't do a movie without Nick Cage now.
You know,
it's not a bad place to be.
He's a genre to himself, isn't he?
Oh, totally. Like, he's having such a resurgence now, which I'm loving.
If we had Blockbuster, it'd be like the Nick Cage, you know? It's
like,
okay, cagey this, you know? It's amazing, dude. Like, the movies that he's made. I mean, classics. You know,
I grew up on Con Air and Face Off.
Did you? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. My favorite's Vampire's Kiss.
How did I never see that? That's a vampire movie?
You have to see it.
Oh,
it's amazing.
Shit. I never even heard of that.
One of his earliest movies. You've got to see it.
Okay.
I think it was written by the writer of After Hours.
Oh, okay.
After Hours. I love After Hours.
Yeah, After Hours is a great one.
One of my favorite movies. And he basically gets bit by a vampire, and he thinks he's turning into a vampire, and he's just, I just love it.
Wow. Yeah, I saw Once Bitten with Jim Carrey a long time ago. It feels like a similar sort of subgenre, but I got to check that out.
Wait, you have to contact me, man, after you see this movie.
For sure.
I want to hear what you think, you know.
Yeah.
But that's one of my earliest memories of Nick, and I love Racing with the Moon. I mean, I could have sat there and just talked to him about his filmography the whole time, you know. But then you're like the Chris Farley on SNL, right? You know, so I was like, we got work to do. You know?
Right.
And, it was cool. My friend Scott Harbert, who's a producer on the movie, He would bring his Mandy's, and he had like 5 Mandy's, like Steelbook Mandy, and
Whoa.
then like Europe version Mandy, and Mondo Mandy,
Holy shit.
And Nick signed all of them.
Mandy was so good. That movie, it was my
So
favorite
good.
movie of that year. What was that,
So good.
2017, something like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. And what about Behind the Black Rainbow? Right? I mean, that was just
Oh, yeah.
Panos' first movie. That was inspirational for Willie's. The way
Oh,
he
yeah?
would do like the out of focus shots,
Mhm.
I was, cause it was interesting with Willie's. It's like, I was really worried. I was like, if we don't like these characters right, and if we don't shoot them right, they're just going to have a goofball, man.
Right.
And that kept me up at night. So if you notice in the movie, like you never really see Willie full frame or something until like the very end, and my whole thing was like, I wanted this to be as believable as possible.
Yeah.
It's a very self-aware film.
Mhm.
In my mind, I was making Citizen Kane. Okay.
Yeah.
I took it that seriously. And I think you should as a director, and you do your best work. And for me, it was like, well, if this is like my last movie, I'm going balls out. And, with what happened to me with the COVID thing, it almost was, but the thing is like, you got to do it, and you do it, and you got to have your heart. Every movie takes a piece of your soul.
Oh, yeah.
And I treated these characters with reverence. I just loved them. They weren't goofy. They weren't goofy, kid, mascots. These were, and I hope someday it would be such an honor that they'd be into like the horror lexicon with Chucky and all those guys.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I would love it, man.
The creatures were really well designed. I mean, they felt like they had a foot in like Chuck E. Cheese characters, but also were formidably scary. Can you talk about the creature design process and how you made the animatronics?
Absolutely. So Ken Hall and his team made the creatures, and he's an amazing artist. And so we had 8 of them, and Ozzy was a puppet, and then so we had 7 suits, and the stuntmen and women were in the suits.
Okay.
And Charlie Paris was our stunt coordinator. He did a fantastic job. Love Charlie. And basically, what we wanted to do was, in the beginnings of Willie, it was like, what are you going to do? Build animatronics or whatever? And I wrote like a manifesto about why, first of all, you couldn't, these aren't R2D2s, man. Like first of all, it's a low budget movie. You couldn't afford it, but it's like, can you imagine, a robot or something and it moves this and, there's no way. And actually an SNL skit really inspired me. It was Tom Hanks. Yeah. Tom Hanks guest starred, and it was with Bill Hader. I love Bill Hader. And they did this thing like a Tunnel of Love. I don't know if you ever saw it. You got to look it up.
I think so.
And they move like these marionettes, and then like the Tunnel of Love comes and like, oh honey, look at it. And then they come up with this axe, and they're like, and they just did the pop and locks,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we got to get dancers or stunt people in these suits. If we could do that, we're going to pull it off. I really knew it. And so we got stunt people. And so that was when they were doing the movements, And like I said, Jessica Davis, who, found the script from Geo, she was Siren Sarah, and she's a dancer. So it really helped with her knowledge, and how she moved, So
yeah, I wasn't sure if they were actual animatronics, like if you had stuff that was remote controlled or whatever, because they moved in a way that actually looked like animatronics. Yeah,
that's
it felt real.
Yeah, it was great, But you'd start the shot, and it's like, okay, animatronics go, and then they'd be doing this, and then we would start the narrative and what's going on, and
really, really cool. So what, Geo has an interesting story, and he was struggling to get something off the ground, and then this idea came to him, and then it was through his acting, someone else in his acting class, right? That the script found its way to you.
Yeah.
And then
Jessica, Jeremy, the producer's wife.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Yeah. And what was your collaboration like with Geo?
Oh, it was great, man. We hit it right off, I pitched him my kind of vision of the movie, and he really clicked to it. And we were like, man, just excited. I would show him, we'd send him texts, and he'd send me texts back, and it was great, So we had a good working relationship.
That's super cool. And you just recently had a pretty nasty brush with COVID, and did that affect the making of the movie, or had you guys wrapped, or what happened there?
Oh yeah, no, we wrapped. So we wrapped February 28th. of 2020.
Okay.
And then I was back on a plane March 1st back home. And then I started editing right away.
Okay. So
And
you just wrapped the movie right before COVID hit.
yeah.
Okay.
Right. Amazing. Right. And so then we're in LA and I was cutting with Ryan Liebert, who did a fantastic job as the editor. And it was a couple weeks and I could see the company that we were at and they would be bringing in the people who were, they bring in drinks and food and stuff like that, the assistant, and they were letting them go. And I was like, oh no. Oh no. And as it was going down, we were like the only people there. And then that was, I think, when Newsom, after 2 weeks, I think that's when he made the announcement, lockdown.
You're right.
And so that was like, wow, we're not going to be together anymore, cutting this movie.
That sucks.
And so I had to go home. And so then I was going through the footage and he was going through the footage here. And so it'd be emails and it'd be remote, like we're doing now, talking about the movie. It was tough. It was very tough. Post-production, then everybody's like on an island, and I got my friend Paul N.J. Otteson to do the sound design and mix for my movie. And Paul, I've known for a while. He's a 3-time Academy Award winner for Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30. Amazing man, just a great friend. He did it for me, as a favor, but he actually really liked the movie, which meant a lot to me. He's kind of a mentor to me and just a great guy. And anyways, I was looking forward to going to Sony to mix and so looking forward to that. And we couldn't go. And so what was really cool, what was interesting, and again, it just shows you how technology.
Yeah.
We did ADR on iPhones.
Whoa.
And that's that good now.
Yeah.
Professionally, it's incredible, Nick. I mean, what you could do. And so he mixed it at his house.
Okay.
He brought his speakers from Sony and stuff. He brought his equipment, but he mixed it at his house. And then he would send us, me and the producers, cuts, versions, and we give the notes and stuff. And it was just a different way, man.
Yeah, but you guys made it work.
Yeah, and everybody's in different, color corrections in like Louisiana, and one producer's in New York, David Ozer, and another producer's here in Michigan, Jeremy.
Wow, I mean, as much as it must have sucked, it is kind of flattening the post-production process in a way that I think is going to open up a lot more opportunity, or for at least open up opportunity for the convenience and ease of post-production in the future, where you don't necessarily all have to be in the room together. You don't necessarily have to only hire people in New York or LA,
Oh yeah. It's funny because I remember back in the day, coming out here, it's either New York and LA, you got to make movies, And so I chose LA. I got into the New York film school, Tisch School of the Arts. I was so proud. I made a movie on VHS called The Real World, and with my friends, and I got a scholarship for the KNC. I'm from Denver, Colorado, and I got a scholarship from Channel 4 KCNC for 3 years, which was really cool. They saw the movie, but SC doesn't want to see your movie; they want you to write an essay. And so, but the Tisch School of the Arts, they saw the movie, and I got in, and I was really close to going there. And it's crazy because when I come out here, within a year, I meet my future wife.
Wow.
And we have 4 kids now, and so it's wild, But an SC is SC, right? George Lucas, and they turned down Spielberg. Cool story is when I graduated, Lucas and Spielberg spoke to the whole school. They were getting honorary degrees.
Wow.
They spoke to the whole school, and then they stayed for the film school. And they handed out our diplomas.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they didn't have to do that.
That's amazing.
And I went up there and said to Spielberg, "You're the reason I'm here." And he said, "Knock 'em dead, kid."
Wow, you've had a lot of encouraging words from amazing filmmakers like Sam Raimi, and that's awesome.
It's cool, man. Coming out to LA, I didn't even have an apartment, and I went and got an internship with Linda Obst at Sony. And she was working on Prince of Tides and Fisher King. And Fisher King is such a beautiful movie.
Yeah, that is a good movie.
I didn't even have an apartment, man. I got an internship. But those were the days, man. I was hustle and bustle at the studios. And I saw when they were shooting Hook there.
So cool.
And Bram Stoker's Dracula. I saw the Fish Tank with Coppola.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I was such a huge Gary Oldman fan. My friends, Scott and I, and him getting that lead, it was awesome. And deep cover shot right next to my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
So you go out, it's sunny, and then you look over and it's snowing. You're like, what the heck? Is like, it was deep cover. It was the opening with when Lawrence Fishburne's a little kid to his alcoholic father, and then goes and robs in the store. It was a magical time. You talk about Quentin. I went and saw Train Spotting. The Newark, but he was right in front of us.
Oh wow!
Came in. He was throwing popcorn up in the air and catching it. I remember seeing Reality Bites, and Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman came in, and they were right in front of us. Same thing. Tom Cruise was throwing up popcorn in the air and catching it.
Whoa!
I met John Woo.
Oh my God! Magical time.
Magical time. Talking to Nick about John Woo. He said on Face Off, John Woo had like 10 monitors, 10 cameras, and he knew each one, the lens and everything.
Holy shit.
He was incredible. And what's funny is, so I go to the theater, it's in Westwood, and I forgot what movie. Those are the times where it's like, man, you went to the first showing on a Friday.
Right.
And so, but we went at night too. And it's funny because I was SC, but we'd always go to Westwood, and we watched a film. I don't remember what it was, but somebody was bagging on John Woo and talking about it's just slow-mo with the pigeons and whatever, just these film guys, whatever. And John Woo was sitting right next to him. And I'll never forget that. And I was like, man, you just don't know.
Right.
And to be with some of these guys in film school have such arrogance.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, I'm going to come in and you need some of it. I remember at SC, the intro, the first day, and they're talking about Tommy Trojan and the history of SC. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I'm not down for Tommy Trojan, man. I'm just here to go make some great movies, Yeah. But you're young, right, man? You got the world, man. Immortality that's not in your vocabulary.
Right.
Okay. And so, but all through that, and then interning for McTiernan and Rennie Harlan, and this is a story. I was the guy at Carl Loco, Rennie Harlan. I would be the guy who they would pile the scripts on in the wagon, and I would wheel them down to the infirmary.
You have to wheel scripts. There were that many.
Wheel scripts, that many, and I would be the guy that would throw them in the fire.
Oh my God. That must have taught you so much about Hollywood, that there's somebody your job is to burn scripts in a wheelbarrow.
Everybody's dreams and aspirations burning
up in smoke.
And I'm an emotional guy, man. I felt for every writer there.
Yeah, of course.
I know that maybe the script wasn't good I don't know, but I don't care. That was a lot of passion. That was, time.
Heartbreaking.
They have a dream. Heartbreaking. Taught me a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure it instilled in you a real sense of like, I really have to go hard while I'm in Hollywood because just scripts are being burned.
Well, coming from Colorado, I had such great aspiration. Like I said, I made that movie. I got a scholarship. Things were rocking and rolling, man. I was just like, I'm going to LA, and there's a show called Teletoons there. They played really cool music videos like The Smiths and The Cure and Sisters of Mercy. And they showed my movie on it. I was on Channel 12. It was awesome. But the guy was there, and I'll never forget. And I didn't make it, but my friend told me that. The other friends that helped me with the movie, I couldn't make it. I don't remember when. Oh, that was when I was getting this award. I was at the award ceremony, and it was the same time. Okay. But anyways, for the scholarship. But he said he was bitter. He's like, I went out to LA and basically I failed. I'm back here. And I was like, God, I don't ever want to be that guy.
Right.
When I get to LA and I really hit depression. And I would go to 7-Elevens and I would read the varieties on Hollywood Reporters, and I would just read about everyone getting their movie made or whatever. And I wasn't. And it just like, that's when I really knew like they should teach a class on pass at college.
On being passed.
Pass.
Yeah.
Because that's the word you hear, pass. And how do you deal with that? Right. They really should. they prep you sometimes at film school. You're gonna, and you need it. It's the positive. You could do this and that and blah blah blah. But man, there's another thing that you're not ready for, man.
Yeah.
And I was in a Super 8 class. It was kind of cool, and they go around and they talk about what are you gonna do, and you get free reign on anything, and they'd say one of the girls there was like, I'm gonna shoot a car wash, you'd be like, whatever. And I go, I'm shooting a Western, So I played with all the different genres, Western and horror and all that. And so we would go out, I would get a little crew, and we went and go out and shot in the movies. And then my friend Scott, who did the music for my first movie, The Method, and he's one of my best friends, he would go and compose an original score to my Super 8 film. And then we'd cut it and we'd screen it. And so people would screen their Super 8 films, and it'd just be on whatever, and like I say, car washes or whatever. And here I am, and I've got The Haunting and all and I would bring a boom box and I would like just crank it, and okay, roll the Super 8. Okay, now hear the music, and magical days, man.
That's really cool.
So I just love making movies since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. Star Wars was a gift from God.
Oh yeah.
I saw that at 6 years old. And Empire, of course, a cool story with Empire. It was like I went and saw it. I was like the with my mom, and we were the last people they let in, and there was no seats left. And I remember sitting on her lap on the stairs.
Whoa!
Could you imagine that today? That's a fire hazard. That ain't gonna
exactly.
happen, right?
Yeah.
And so I love making movies, and when I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, just like so many people, I just saw how movies were put together.
Okay.
In
terms of storytelling and
I saw the storytelling. I saw what Spielberg was doing with the shots. My friend had screening tickets for it, and I was like, it's a cowboy movie or whatever. I really wasn't. He's got Han Solo. I was like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
And I went and saw it, and that movie just blew me away. And from that day on, I wanted to make movies, just like everybody.
Yeah. Well, once the symbolism of you having to burn wheelbarrows full of scripts, I mean, I can't get past that. But once you knew,
I'm sorry to all those writers.
No, but I think it's important. I think it's important to realize that a lot of scripts end up, incinerated. But once that instilled a sense of how tough it is, you said that you momentarily got depressed. But what was it that enabled you to? How did you pull yourself up by the bootstraps and just really go hard? And what empowered you beyond that to know that you had to push forward? And how did you like after burning all the scripts, how did you get into an empowered place where you were able to get your movies made? What was different about you?
This was a really cool story. So I was working with Lori Hughes. She was like a mentor to me at that time, and she was the head of development at Rennie Harlan's company. And so she would read scripts, and then she'd pass ones to me. And she actually gave me one of the Wachowski brothers' first scripts.
Whoa!
And it was called, I'm trying to think of it. It was about you suck the fat off.
Liposuction.
Liposuction. And it's like liposuction, but the fat became like a creature.
Ooh, gross.
And but she had a script, The Assassins that they wrote. And we know it got made with Stallone or whatever, but they went out to Sean Connery and Ray Fiennes. And I remember reading that script and going, this is amazing. There was another script called Beat about the beatnik generation. I can't remember the writer. And it was amazing. I was like, Johnny Depp would just be incredible in this. So that was really passionate. And then one night I had a vision and an idea of a movie called The Method, about these 4 method actors. They're putting on a play about a bank robbery, and to get into character, they go rob a bank.
Oh wow!
And I wrote it. It was my first script. I'd write it in class at SC during finals.
Yeah,
I'd write it everywhere. But it was very. And so I would show it to Lori, and I would show her what I'm doing. And again, magical times, man. I sent that script to Sean Patrick Flannery, and I have to give props to Sean. He loved it. He was a young indie at the time, call it, young Cindy. And we would go meet for lunch and stuff, but he wanted to play the bad boy, because I know it was like he didn't get those parts. He was young indie. And he attached himself to the movie, and he put money in the movie. Wow. He was a great partner, And so we shot the movie. I raised the money through friends and family. I got a donation from Panavision Camera. We
That's
got the
great.
post from Disney, and we went to. I shot at SC, and I brought the actors there. So I had Tyron Turner from Menace to Society. I had Sean Patrick Flannery. I had Nick Sadler, and I
Mhm.
had my friend Michael Bondi's. And we put it on, and I shot it in like 15 or 17 days.
Wow. It all just came
And
together
for no money, we had the big Panavision Gold camera.
that they donated to you.
Yeah, I wanted to shoot very Scorsese like,
Yeah.
and that was the time when Quentin was taking off. And so every movie was Quentin.
Mhm.
And this movie wasn't Quentin, but everybody tried to make it that way. And what's so cool is even before I shot the movie, is I landed an agent, Jeff Robinoff at ICM.
Mhm.
And he, of course, became Warner Brothers, with Nolan and everything. And now I think he's running Section 8 or Studio 8 or his company. I mean, huge. But he was my agent, and but so after that, like the method was the coolest thing. I met so many great people and actors, and I went to Mark Wahlberg's birthday party.
So
I knew
cool.
somebody, and Leo DiCaprio was there, and I remember that. It was just again magical time.
Yeah.
And so I made the movie, and we finished it. And of course, you want to get the Sundance. That's like Mecca, right?
Mhm.
And everyone wants to go to Sundance. And so I was like really trying. But Slam Dance liked it and picked it up. Saw a screening. I think it was the second year of Slam Dance. And so we went there, and we had posters, homemade posters, posting around. And it was so cold and everything. But we do that and get our people to see people into the film. And it was, in this little, decent room, and a projector and stuff. And then and people are coming up to me going, "You're going to win Slam Dance," and I'm like, "Oh, that's be amazing," and all that stuff. And it was so funny. And so then in comes Steven Soderbergh walking in, and with Parker Posey and Liev Schreiber and the great director of Superbad, the future Superbad.
Mhm.
And he didn't get into Sundance, I think, or something, and he screened his movie at Slam Dance, and I was like, "We're cooked. It's over." But that was fine. It was a great movie, Day Trippers. And
okay, right.
And anyways, so that was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So then after that, I raised money for like an action movie called Downward Angel.
Mhm.
And it was kind of cool. I shot for like 200 grand, and Matt Schultz was the lead. And actually I cut a acting reel for Matt to show Rob Cohen for Fast and the Furious. He was up
nice.
for a part, and he got it.
That's great.
That was great. Yeah. Worked with Jonathan Banks, before he was Mike on Breaking Bad.
Mhm.
That was awesome.
I love that actor.
Yeah. So we shot that, and we sold to Blockbuster, and Blockbuster picked it up. And so that was in a Hollywood Reporter. It was like the Killer Bees, and was the head of Blockbusters.
Mhm.
And they had the Contaminated Man, William Hurt, and then my movie Downward Angel. How cool is that?
Super cool.
And so so then I did that film, and every movie just try to lead to the next, to the next, to the next. But the method was Magical Times. I mean, I met Ryan Felipe. He was possibly going to play the lead. I had from the '70s show, Danny. He came into my apartment and was wanting to lead and was reading a monologue. I mean,
wow.
The actors out there, and just the LA, and that's when the studios were alive and making movies. And
it was a hell of a time. Like the '90s was amazing for Hollywood.
It really was, man. And that's when Train Spotting came out, and Pulp Fiction. I went to this big, when the first Pulp Fiction Friday night at Westwood, and I saw Reservoir Dogs, of course, before that, the New Art.
Yeah.
And it was you wanted your movie to get to Miramax. That was the goal. Get to Miramax.
Yeah.
And anyway, so the method was like the biggest success for me in terms of meeting people and whatever, and it was so funny. I was so broke, and I'd go do lunches with these producers, and they go to sushi restaurants and all this stuff. And the restaurants where the sushi's not on the menu, right? They have the special,
right.
And here it comes, and it's like I do the reach around to the wallet, and I'm just sweating because I know I got like $40 in my
Oh
account
man.
at the time. And he's like, "Oh, Kevin, no, I'll take those." I was like, "Oh, thank you." And I'm like, with a heartbeat, Uh, but
Well,
that was something else. And I would just drive my car down Hollywood Boulevard, man, and I'd be dropping scripts off to ICM and CAA myself, acting like the assistant,
just
but it was
hustling it.
me, hustling, baby, hustling. And even though that was so hard and sometimes really tough, again, it was magical.
Yeah.
It was just. When I look back with fond memories on that,
And it sounds like, I
So
mean, one of the common denominators of your story, it sounds like you were never waiting for the opportunity to be handed to you. You just kept pushing your movies
I
forward.
knew
You'd
the
scrape the
phone would
money
never.
together and yeah. And I feel like that's such an important lesson because I feel like a lot of filmmakers, particularly after they make their first movie, they're waiting for the calls to come in where it's like, no, you got to get on top of your second one and you have to push that forward and start scraping money together here and there. And just that momentum seems like it's so important. Did somebody mentor you about that?
No,
you just knew you had to keep things. Well, yeah, having worked with Rennie Harlan.
It was funny because calling my friends, and I'd be like my friend Michael, and I wanted him in one of the movies. I'm like, okay, it's looking good, da 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 da. And it's like every day I would call him, and I knew he's an actor, and it's like he couldn't take it, because I'm like, well, they got this actor chart here, and that like I was like, and he's like, I knew, and I was like, he's like, Kev, just call me when the movie gets greenlit, So like, but that was my therapy, just calling my friends, talking to them. But no, it was a hard charge. My dad was in the military, and the quote when the bullets were shooting at Vietnam, they'd say, "Drive on, don't mean nothing, drive on." I took that, and God bless every military, they're heroes. But I took drive on, and so that was my mantra in my mind.
Yeah.
And so I kept working, and kind of interesting story. I made a movie called Dark Heart with Greg Jolson, wonderful human being and great friend of mine. And we were at a festival in Montana, the Hatch Festival, and basically I was on a panel with John Dahl. I mean, John Dahl, Red Rock West, right? Amazing. And we were asked questions about our movies, and I was like, I'm not worthy, Wayne's World, but it was cool. And somebody came up and said they love Dark Heart, and they're like, "How'd you do it?" And I basically said, "This is what we did.
Yeah,
worked hard, did it." And I said, "Go out and do it. Just do it." I remember John Dahl going, "Whoa, whoa, 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 wait a minute, and he's like, "Calm down. There's a process." And everything. And it was very, what he said was great. And what he said was bright. I mean, he's John Dahl. He's a legend in the industry. Make amazing work. Classy.
Yep.
But I was just youth in the fact of just do it. Nike, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it was the coolest thing, Nick. So this guy loved my movie so much, Dark Heart, that he would bring a friend every screening.
Whoa.
And so after like the fifth screening, it was like 15 people, and it was just so cool. And it was so cool to inspire someone like that,
Yeah.
And he took the time out of his work and changed his work schedule to go.
That's amazing.
It's just awesome, and that's why we make movies, right? Communal experience, and inspiration. And so anyway, so that was just fun, to doing that. And I had, a movie drop at a lot of festivals and in Nevada, Reno, and I met Bob Gale. That was really cool. Listening to his stories about Back to the Future, and I met some really great people on my travels. You know?
Oh my God. It sounds like a hell of a time period.
Yeah. So with Willy's comes, now Willy's is like the biggest movie I've done, biggest budget and biggest hype. And I always thought to myself, man, am I ever going to get back to the method? It was my first movie. I had Jeff Robinoff as my agent. I was going to these parties. This is a great story. So we go to this party. I think it was Don Plum. It was a short film that Leonardo DiCaprio did. He produced with Tobey Maguire.
Oh, wow.
And we go to this party. It was like a rap party. And I was dating my wife at the time. and Brittany Murphy was there, and she was there with a couple of her friends. And anyways, I remember talking to this girl, and she was like, "Well, what do you do?" "I'm a director." Blah 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 blah. And then she asked my wife, "What does she do?" And my wife's a nurse now. She was working for the EMT,
Hmm.
and she goes, "Oh yeah, okay, great." And she just kind of glazed over her head, and then just kind of like drifted away. I'll never forget what my wife Mary said. She's like, she doesn't find me interesting now, but after her Coke at 2 in the morning, I'm saving her life.
Oh, fuck.
And I was
In
like, wow.
retrospect, my God.
Hmm.
Whoa.
And you know what happened to Brittany Murphy? God
Yeah.
bless her soul.
Yeah, of
It
course.
wasn't her that did it, but she was with the group. And
Whoa.
um, anyways, so I've had some really great,
Yeah.
interesting experiences, and I feel like, with Willie's now, power to the people, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
back in the day, it was like, New York, Times, LA Times, Hollywood Reporter, Variety, and that was it.
Hmm.
And talking to you and everybody else, and seeing the audience's reactions and the love of this movie, and going to the drive-in yesterday and them honking their horns, the lights.
Yeah, it reminds me of a story I heard when Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell were crafting Evil Dead.
Yeah,
They obviously were going to a lot of drive-ins, and like you said,
yeah,
apparently when people were bored, they would start honking their horns and flashing their lights, and they
yeah,
decided they did not want, or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe when they're enjoying, I think it's when they're having a good time, they start flashing their lights and honking their
yeah,
horns, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So they
yeah.
decided they wanted Evil Dead to be a movie where people did not stop flashing lights and honking horns. In other words, they wanted a movie
Oh,
that would play in the drive-in where people would constantly be entertained throughout the course of the movie. There'd be no
yeah,
boring moments. There'd be no like
yeah,
drops in energy, just ramp,
yeah.
ramp, ramp, momentum, momentum, momentum.
Oh,
So for that to have come full circle with your movie, and
yeah.
it's unfortunate that we're in a COVID situation, but it's
No,
allowed the drive-in to ride again for
isn't
you
that
to be able to
great?
see your movie with flashing lights and honking horns. I mean, damn, how
So
beautiful is
cool.
that?
It's beautiful, buddy. It was so beautiful. That's why we make movies,
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And seeing my kids, like I said, while we're having a 30-person watch party, I want to make cool genre movies. When I was younger, I had the angst. I had a really cool drama that I wanted to do, kind of about some really important things, and God bless people that have their passion project. We need all that. We need it all, man. But man, especially with what I just went through and
Yeah.
everything, I want to live, man, and I want to live life to the fullest, and making these kind of movies and fun movies that put a smile on people's faces, that they can go out,
Yeah.
or it can inspire some young filmmaker to go just say, you know what, I want to go make movies.
Yeah.
That's a joy and a privilege. And I really want to work on those kind of films,
Super
you know?
cool. So
Yeah.
any sequel potential for Willie's?
You know what's awesome is so many people have asked that. And I think there is,
Yep.
now
You have
Nick would have to
mythology
want
there.
to do, Nick would have to want to do it. I would hope he would. We've got some really great ideas. I talked to Gio about it actually last night, so there's some really great potential out there.
Cool.
So we'll see what happens.
That's great.
We got to make it. If it is, we got to make it better than the first. In my book, it's got to be The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh yeah.
Although some people want to hang me for saying that because New Hope's the golden.
Yeah.
But anyways, so we'll see. I hope. I
Yeah.
really do. But I would love people to associate my name with a brand. We're in a branding culture now.
Oh yeah.
It's funny. My daughter, she's 15, like 14, she got on Instagram. And when I was like, okay, it's just inevitable at this point with her friends on. I said, congratulations, Caitlin, you're a brand,
Mhm.
because everyone's a brand now
Oh
on
yeah.
Instagram. Right? Well, I'd like to be a brand, and I'd like to be a brand when they see Kevin Lewis, that everybody's like, you know what, I'm in for a good time.
Oh yeah.
I'm just gonna want to have a fun time. And the critics are probably sharpening their knives, but I don't care. Especially what I went through, I could care less.
Yeah.
I just love making people just smile and just have a good time at the movies.
That's great, man. So what is
Yeah.
next for you in the immediate short term?
Well, I've got a cool Halloween project. It could be it's a throwback to the Amblin days.
Ooh, okay.
But with kind of a sensibility of Stranger Things
Mm-hmm.
to it. With these kids, and It's cool, man. I think it could be really good. It's a bigger budget. It's a lot bigger
That's
budget.
great.
So we'll see. We'll see. I want to take that out. I've got another cool project, man. It's an action horror. With I'm working with a great writer, great
Nice.
friend, amazing friend, and we're putting that together. What's really cool is Jeremy Daniel Davis, the producer of Willie's. He's on these with me,
Oh, great.
so we're teaming up again. We had such a great time on this. Had
Yeah.
each other's back the whole way through. Was
Oh, yeah.
tested big time. I tell people too, stay the course. I look at like the yellow brick road, but it's like seriously, stay the course. There's gonna be people trying to push you off that road.
Hmm.
Trying to, there's so many things, man. Desperation in Hollywood is the scarlet letter.
Mm.
And people see it, wear it, and you can't have it. I know it's hard. You know, you don't have a contractor coming in, and going, oh my God, we're going to do a 2-story and this is going to be great and blah, 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 blah. And here's my ideas. But it's like, here's the thing, whatever, I need 30% down. Here's, it's like our artists are so emotional. We
Mm.
want it so bad, right?
Yeah.
We just love it so much. And there's people that take advantage of that big time.
Yeah, I'm sure of it.
And
Yeah.
beware.
Yeah, in Matthew McConaughey's autobiography, Green Lights, which is amazing, super recommended read. Oh, it's awesome. I actually got it on Audible.
All right.
Yeah, I have that on Audible, and you can listen to him read it, which is fantastic. I have the hard copy too, but it's such a good book. But in the beginning, he was talking about when he first entered Hollywood. He was talking to somebody like, "Hey, man, I got to get an agent. I need an agent." Like, whoa, 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 whoa. If you're entering Hollywood, you can't need anything. Hollywood is not something that thrives, as you said, on desperation and on need. Right. You enter it, and if you have that desperate energy, it is like kryptonite to the people who actually can give you a green light,
You're right. You're so right. He's right. Yeah. It's funny because I remember with one of my scripts, I optioned to this producer. I was in college, and and he was paying me like monthly, he was very nice on that thing, but I remember getting that option and I was like, perpetuity, what does that mean? And it's like forever and ever. That's not fair, So I've had my shares big time.
Yeah.
And you can't be desperate. I read Oliver Stone's book. That was a great book.
Ooh, I gotta check that out.
You need to read that book.
Okay.
I mean, he's on the phone. By the way, John Daly, who produced Salvador and Platoon, he was going to produce one of my scripts. I met him at a film festival that The Drop played, and we hit it off. And he's John Daly, the Terminator, man.
Yeah.
But I didn't know the backstory of John Daly too, and that was something. And I would go up there every day in his office and work for free. And there's a point. I've got now a wife and kid at home, and I was like, honey, you're just gonna stick with me. It's just John Daly. And then of course you read in Oliver Stone's book. That's what's happened with John Daly. Of course, Cameron's talked about it. And he was prepping a movie called The Aryan Papers to direct at that point. And he did. He wound up directing it. I met Martin Landau there, actually.
Wow.
Amazing, because he was in the movie. And I met David Carradine there. I said to him, why 2 Kill Bills? What's going on with that? And he goes, because you're going to pay for it twice.
Wow.
So that was cool. But so in Stone's book, he talks about Daly helping with Salvador, and then he's going to jump on Platoon. But then he's like suing. Daly's going to sue him, or he's suing. He's going to sue Daly.
I never heard that
but
story.
Then she's like, oh, it's amazing. And it's like lawsuit here, but we're going to go work together here. And
ruthless business.
This is a crazy business. There's I listened to Terry Gilliam. It was a podcast, and he was talking about Munchausen. And the producer of Munchausen, I can't remember her name, but they didn't get along, of course, and everything. And she was like, I'm done with you. I'm never working with you again. And then the script for 12 Monkeys came around, and the producer of that was her husband. And he sent it to Terry and offered it to him. And he was just laughing. And he just said, it just shows you in Hollywood, there's no bridges that that can be burned, you know?
Right, right.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
But anyways, so yeah, so a lot of trials and tribulations. You know what? It was cool. I told Nick some of it on set. I just said, man, I've been working so hard. He could have said no. I don't
Hmm.
want Kevin directing this movie. They saw the third nail, I think, in Dark Heart, and they were cool with it. But it's funny when I got the note, when I got the word that Nick's in. Jeremy called me. He's like, you sitting down? He's like, yeah. And he's like, Nick Cage is in. He wants to do the
Wow.
movie. I was like, oh my god, it's amazing. And then he's like, okay, I got this call. I got to take it. Just sunk that in. I was like, I will.
Yeah.
And then I hang the phone up, and I remember going, I'm out.
Oh, thinking
You
that
know?
he would fire you off the project?
Oh yeah, yeah. Because guess what happened? Once that happened, William Morris, his agency, whatever, ton of directors.
Mm.
What about this guy? What about this guy? What about this guy? And Mike Nylon and Nick liked my work and stuck with me.
Man,
And,
that is the kind of
Jeremy stuck with
loyalty.
me.
That's the kind of
Yeah.
loyalty you can't buy.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't directed a movie for a long time, and it's not that I haven't worked on. I worked on several projects. One in Korea that we were going to shoot in Korea, and a whole Korea crew was going to have a whole old boy crew
Oh,
to shoot it,
wow.
and it just didn't. It fell apart. And I had a movie with Mads Mikkelsen attached.
Oh, man.
Before he won the Cannes Film Festival, Nick,
Yeah.
and he loved the script, worked so hard, and it was going to be exciting, and couldn't, financing, and just that didn't work out. So I was working on projects, but so when I got that call, it was so funny, and I actually said it out loud. I was like, well, I'm out, to myself, and they were so loyal, and Jeremy stuck by me,
Yeah.
and he brought me back in, man. He brought me back in the game. I got him to thank.
Yeah.
So it's just we had such a great crew on this movie, and
Yeah.
it's just fun, and I feel like we mission accomplished what we did.
That's amazing,
You
man.
know?
Well, huge congratulations to you and the cast and
Thank
crew.
you.
I mean, the movie was
Thank
so
you.
much fun, so fantastic. It's just a breath of fresh air to watch something that is just so indulgently fun, and
So
gives us the
happy,
horror
dude.
goods.
You made my day. Yeah, you made my week. Really talking to everybody and doing these interviews and just hearing how exciting people are, and like I said, seeing yesterday in the drive-in. I mean, it's just been such a special experience.
Yeah.
And Nick's amazing in the movie. And everybody with their memes of the overacting that they say he does and all this stuff. I was like, I just can't wait for them to see this, because there's not a lot of actors that could have taken this on and done what he did.
Yep.
And it's a scary proposition when you're not speaking.
Right.
Because as an actor, you can hide through dialogue, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as a director, you can hide through dialogue. And to have that, I knew we had to make it visually entertaining.
Right.
Because if we didn't, it's going to be just boring. But with Nick Cage, of course, nothing's ever boring.
No,
I
definitely
just
not.
let the camera go, which I did on the pinball machine. That's all Nick. That sequence, he just came in and rocked it.
Wow,
And
he just improv that.
Had 3 cameras on it, and then I did this. I had a snorkel lens camera to get all the inside after he was done, but that was all him.
So
and
cool.
That night, I told him, "You're the reason why I make movies, man."
Wow, you must have loved hearing that.
Audience clapped, applauded. It was the audience, it was the crew, and it was amazing.
That's so cool.
So, yeah,
awesome. Well, Kevin, I can't thank you enough for doing this. Thank you for being here today.
I loved it, Nick. It was awesome talking to you.
You too. Any
Yeah.
parting advice for those aspiring filmmakers out there?
Stay true to yourself.
Sweet.
Like I said, the road. Get ready for the push-offs. There's going to be people trying to push you off, whether it is your script, change your script from, horror to thriller or genre, or change this person to that because it fits, or agendas. Watch out for agendas. Everybody has an agenda. What's their agenda? Your agenda should be wanting to make a great movie. That's your agenda. Jeremy's agenda was to make a great movie. That's my agenda. That was Nick's agenda, right? And so, watch out for people. Movie making is about faith. You have to have faith in people, and you have to have faith in the people you're working with. And it's hard because sometimes, and you get tested, but stay the course and follow your vision.
Great. Kevin, thank you again.
Thanks, Nick.
All right, so many big lessons here. Here, as always, are some key takeaways from this conversation with Kevin Lewis. Number 1, drive on. Kevin's dad was in the military, and a big motto during his time in Vietnam was drive on, meaning that no matter how many bullets were flying at your head, as a soldier, it's imperative to push forward and accomplish the mission at all costs. This is an equally important motto for today's filmmakers to consider. One of the big recurring themes of Kevin's career history is that he pushed all of his movies forward himself without waiting for people to give him the green light. He made his movies happen. Regardless of how many features he had under his belt, Kevin would beg, borrow, steal, and hustle his ass off every step of the way for each of his subsequent movies without waiting for someone to hand him a green light. This is a huge concept, and yet another outcrop of Mark Duplass's speech, "The Cavalry is Not Coming," which you should all see. Just Google Mark Duplass, "The Cavalry is Not Coming," and watch the entire video. It's really important. But it basically amounts to this. Nobody is going to push your movie forward other than you. Regardless of how many movies you make, you're always going to have to sing for your supper and push your films forward by the skin of your teeth. It's important to get used to that. Kevin realized this early on, and as a result, was always working on something instead of waiting around for someone to hand him a project. Number 2, work with people who have the same agenda. Kevin has worked on many sides of Hollywood and experienced firsthand just how insane this industry can be. He also illuminated the fact that there are a lot of sharks in this business, but not just sharks who are greedy and will chew you up and spit you out, but even worse, there are saboteurs out there who want to see you fail. This is a very unfortunate personality type, but they are rampant in Hollywood and the world of filmmaking. People who want to sabotage you and your movie either out of spite or jealousy or whatever toxic bullshit is inside of their heads. The point is these people exist, and you have to steer clear of them by keeping them out of your circles and off of your sets. Kevin went on to say that everyone in Hollywood has an agenda, and regardless of how good someone's intentions may seem to be, they might not have your best interest at heart. So be cautious about who you work with. More specifically, it's important to find people who have the same agenda that you have and work with them. And as Kevin stated, your agenda should always be to make a great movie. Number 3, work with Nicolas Cage. In addition to his cult status, dynamic acting ability, and downright iconicism, Nicolas Cage is a mensch. When he was given the script for something as off-the-wall and bonkers as Willy's Wonderland, he not only jumped on board, but he fought for the movie to get made, and he fought for Kevin to remain on board as director. Nick Cage is a big star. He didn't have to do any of that, but he used his star power to empower Kevin as an indie director and to help the movie get funded. This is all really extraordinary, and it's hard to find actors like these, but Nicolas Cage is one of them. So if you have the opportunity, work with Nicolas Cage or someone like him whose heart is in the right place. Seek these people out. Actors like these will not only make your production process an outright pleasure, but will also support you and your movie, which can really move things forward. Anyway, guys, thank you as always for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, why not share it with your friends and family on social media? Don't forget to follow the show on Instagram at I'm Nick Taylor and say hello while you're there. Thanks again for listening to the Nick Taylor Horror Show.